When reading the New York Times bestseller lists, did you ever suspect that you weren't reading a list about what was popular and actually selling best, but instead were reading what the leftist propagandists behind the list wanted you to see? Well, if so, you're in good company with a well-known author, James Patterson. And the red flag that Mr. Patterson has thrown down on this, thankfully, is being seen by multitudes who believe in fairness and merit. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC TV. You know, it might be impossible, really, to determine how long the supposedly elite publishing world has been run by people with agendas, particularly postmodernist left-wing agendas. More recently, fans of great prose have caught publishers arbitrarily altering posts by famous authors such as Roald Dahl, Ian Fleming, and Agatha Christie. And now, one of the most popular novelists in history is raising questions about how the standard-bearer publication for the term bestseller list actually is determining its lists. James Patterson, no avowed conservative or libertarian by any means, as he has, of course, most people know, been willing to co-author novels with Bill Clinton. Well, he released on March 26th some tweets revealing his curiosity about seeming discrepancies in a ranking that is supposed to be organized according to sales. Patterson's first statement might have surprised many of those who assumed that book sales was the measure of the New York Times bestseller list, especially since Patterson expressed surprise that a book by Mike Pompeo that had sold well was noticeably absent from the NYT nonfiction list. Quote, "What's up with @NY Times bestseller lists? Anybody besides me notice that @Mike Pompeo's book sold more copies than 6 titles on today's list?" And Kira Davis amplifies this for Red State. Quote, Patterson had his publishing company query New York Times about how they determined their list after he noticed his own latest work, Walk the Blue Line, a collection of real-life stories from police officers across the country, was placed below other lower-selling titles. The answer they received concerned Patterson. The Times told his publishing company their bestseller list was based on raw sales. Could it be the Times didn't want to highlight a book that humanizes police officers? That was enough for the author of the Alex Cross series to write a letter of complaint to the New York Times editor. When the paper declined to publish his letter, he posted it to social media instead. And here is some of what Mr. Patterson said to the New York Times bestseller list crew. Quote, "Your claim in the fine print that the panel of reporting retailers is comprehensive and reflects sales in tens of thousands of stores of all sizes and demographics across the United States should be reassuring. But it's not. Because it's bonkers. Tens of thousands of bookstores? We would be a happier and less dysfunctional nation if it were true, but it's regrettably not. Maybe you mean locations that sell books, and you include grocery stores, newsstands, Amazon lockers, and yard sales. But that's a quibble. The real problem is where you say sales are statistically weighted to represent and accurately reflect all outlets proportionally, nationwide. Because here you suggest your process has statistical rigor, and it simply doesn't. As the nation's bookstores and our publishing houses have known for years and can prove, your lists too often are outside the realm of the statistically possible, much less plausible. The fact is that you regularly publish, even now that we have computers and widely available data, lists that say a book sold better or worse than another, even when it's probably wrong. And in a separate tweet on March 26th, Mr. Patterson also noted the discrepancy between a hugely popular J.D. Robb, and she's also known by her real name, Nora Roberts, release, and the New York Times fiction list. Quote, and last week, J.D. Robb's, that's Nora Roberts' pen name, novel wasn't on the fiction list, even though it was still selling more than 4 other titles there. By bestseller, does the Times mean best for their target audience? I wonder, might it be possible for those publishing this list to pull away from their preferences and prejudices and actually do what they claim? I also wonder what could be discovered if one could be a fly on the wall of the New York Times list managers, what they say to each other, and how they justify this kind of behavior. Perhaps they're similar to the people at the top of the Horror Writers Association, who recently attempted to strip the multiple Bram Stoker awards that author Thomas Monteleone had won, after Monteleone, in his position to nominate someone for a Lifetime Achievement Stoker Award, earnestly, but with a note of sarcasm, nominated Stu Schiff, a, quote, smart old white guy, because he had noticed that the Horror Writers Association appeared to be infusing their award decisions with woke agendas. In a recent conversation with me, Monteleone discussed the email an insider gave him, and which he has forwarded to me, revealing that indeed, one of the bigwigs at the Horror Writers Association has asked the nominating committee to prioritize, in his words, nomination slots for female nominees. As the document states, quote, given that only 6 of the 54 Lifetime Achievement Awards have been awarded to women, I have asked the committee to prioritize female nominees, although all nominees will be considered. Of course, the disregard for merit and the dismissal of factual sales numbers, well, they've both long been part of the woke tactic to astroturf various aspects of our cultural zeitgeist. By engaging in underhanded tactics, fudging lists, disregarding reality, and trying to make up for what some wokesters perceive as past wrongs against people from past generations, they seem to think they're doing right. In fact, as Patterson and Monteleone point out, they create new victims and they further erode any shred of credibility they ever retained, as we who actually care about quality, fairness, morals, and merit turn away from them and welcome each other in new venues and in new ventures that are satisfying because they're honest and they recognize achievement. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and hats off to Mr. Patterson and to Tom Monteleone for fighting their fights. We hope that if you encounter these sorts of problems, you'll let us know. Please contact us in the comments section at Rumble, where of course they don't censor us. And if you'd like, you can leave your comments over on YouTube as well, because, well, they do censor us there, but so far so good this month. And we'll see you, of course, at MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org. Yes, we were on the Google blacklist. Oh, wasn't that fun? And yes, NewsGuard has messed with us many, many times. Yes, fairness, honesty, objectivity. Yeah, find us at MRCTV.org. And while you're there, consider donating to the Media Research Center. We really appreciate your help. And of course, you can find us in the Facebook group. You can find us over on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram and on Parler. And if you want to find me, I am on Gab as Gardner Goldsmith, and I'm on Twitter at Gard Goldsmith. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.